First of all, I would like to thank all of you here for being here today, spending your afternoon to learn more about the most recent updates to all of the rare disease advocates, and also to the EverLife Foundation for their hard work with the 21st Century Cures Act, as well as the Senate leadership for getting it across the line. It was, it went all the way to the end. We didn't really know whether it was going to make it or not, but the Senate leadership, as was mentioned, in a bipartisan way, pulled through. So, and all of you had a key role in making sure that that happened. So, thank you so much. Also, I would like to highlight the importance of President Trump's recognition tribute to Megan Crowley at the State of the Union. This is a tremendously important point, and he elevated this young lady and the rare diseases from everyone in the United States into another level. So we're hoping to be able to follow up with that and work hard to make sure that folks have the necessary funds that they need for Medicaid services, because like in my son's case, who has a rare disease, without medical assistance for the Medicaid waiver in the state of Maryland, he wouldn't be alive today. So I think that the best way that I could start is by showing a brief video that was taken in 2012 when he was just diagnosed. So there's a little guy, his name is Art Jr., and he was born without any problems. And then when he was like 18 months old or so, he was diagnosed with a very rare genetic muscular disorder. It's called TK2 myocardial DNA depletion syndrome. And he's the only child in the United States that we know that is alive right now. But we started a foundation. We have like 15 children from all over the world now, and we're actually helping a couple of parents in the UK because they want to extubate one of the little boys in the UK, Charlie Yates, because they don't believe that the medication is real. So we're working with the family, with the mother, Connie, and Chris, and it's terrible because we're able to help, thank God, another little boy, Maxwell Smith, because his parents were very proactive and they started the medication, experimental meds right away. So now Maxwell is stronger, he's getting better, but we still need to help this other little guy. So I told him, I'm not British, I'm American, but I will be willing to go to the parliament in the UK and help you guys to change the legislation to mandate doctors to give these little kids the experimental medicines so that they could have a life and they could prove that these rare diseases, you could beat some of them. So anyways. So I would like to start with the first video.
We want to introduce you to a beautiful and joyful baby boy named Arturo Ignacio Estopinan, the first son born to Arturo and Olga Estopinan, dedicated parents who have showered him with love. Art Jr. was a healthy baby boy until the age of 14 months, when he first demonstrated signs of weakness in his muscles. He soon lost all his motor skills and stopped gaining weight. Doctors discovered that Art had a significant deficiency of thymidine kinase 2, or TK2. He was diagnosed with mitochondrial TK2 depletion, a rare genetic disorder that weakens his muscles and for which there is currently no cure or treatment. Mitochondrial diseases are fatal, untreatable, and incurable. This has left Art unable to move his fingers and toes and left him in need of mechanical support to breathe. Today, Art also suffers from frequent respiratory infections and requires constant attention from his parents. We found hope, and research is the key. Parents Art and Olga were offered no hope. There was no treatment and no solution. Until they discovered Columbia University Medical Center, and they saw a ray of hope for Arturo. Doctors at Columbia University Medical Center in New York City are conducting studies that will help us learn more about the origins of TK2 and develop more efficient treatments to slow and even reverse the symptoms of TK2 deficiency and ultimately find a cure. Research is the key to saving Art Jr. and all the children who suffer from this fatal disease. The first study has already provided preliminary results that have been extraordinarily promising. These initial results have demonstrated both clinical and biochemical improvement without side effects. We are hopeful that this will pave the way for a robust intervention for children like Arturo. How can you help Arturo? The TK2 Columbia Research Fund at Columbia University has been established to help Arturo as well as other children with similar diagnosis. You can help fund this life-saving research by providing a tax-deductible contribution today to the trustees of Columbia University. Please help us save Arturo and other children like him. Make your tax-deductible contribution to Columbia University Medical Center, Office of Development, 100 Haven Avenue, Suite 29D, New York, New York, 10032. You can make the check attention to Matt Rios.
So this is a Washington Post article profile that they did this is 2 years after the first one that you just saw in September of 2014.
You know, it's hard to accept because you don't want to hear that your child has a disease. You want the best for your child.
So he was born without any problems at all. He was born like any other little kid.
Crawling, cruising, holding on to furniture, waiting for us standing up on the crib.
Aprieta la nariz. Aprieta la nariz a Dada. A ver, aprieta la nariz.
I couldn't pinpoint why I felt so nervous.
My wife and I started noticing muscle weakness when he was about 15 months or so, and we convinced our pediatrician that there was something wrong with him. Then he sent us to a pediatric neurologist who picked it up right away. They did a whole host of tests, including a genetic blood test, which tested positive for the TK2 mitochondrial DNA depletion syndrome.
And the disease started to really kick in at 14 and a half months. And then the doctor said, you know, notice that he doesn't really close his mouth all the way. And we had taken first-year portraits, and then we look at it, and in most of them, his lips are not closed.
It's a debilitating, very, very aggressive disease where the DNA is being depleted. And so he received the diagnosis late July of 2012.
When I stopped working, he was still hospitalized. You know, unfortunately, when they tell you your son has a terminal disease, I wanted to be with him every day.
I started calling doctors from all over the US, and everyone told me the same thing. There's no cure and no medication. Until the last team at Columbia University Medical Center, my son is writing the books as we go. What I'm doing now is I'm preparing his mitochondrial cocktails for medications, as well as his vitamins. And I asked the doctors, is that going to cure him? And they said, we don't know. But really what we have found to be an effective medicine are the experimental medicines, which create the enzyme that he's deficient, the thymus kinase. And that's 4 times a day now that we're doing that. Now, when he's happy, he moves his feet. And also when we give him the proper support, you see he's able to move his hand that he had lost as well.
Down came the rain, and washed the spider out.
Okay, Papa, ready? Let's go. Let's do it. He looks forward to leaving his room.
Yo creo que Minion tiene sueño. I think it's like any other parent. When you see joy in your child's face, you know, you want to relive it.
El Arturito lo está volando. Because being in a bed in the hospital day after day it's very depressing, even for a little guy like him. So you know, we try to give him as much love as we can, and tell him, you know, you're going to get stronger, you're going to get better. So that was September of 2014, and now I have some pictures, recent pictures of more or less the fall of 2016. So you, hey Senator. So here you could see he's gotten bigger, his muscles and his bones, thanks to the experimental medicines, are you know, he's able to grow, and yeah, so that's, and there you could see maybe a little bit, you could see he's lifting his hands, something that, you know, he couldn't do at all before. He has a great attitude. He is being taught at home, and we speak to him in Spanish, and he understands everything in Spanish and in English, and he loves his classes. Now his computer, before it started with an eye gaze, but now since he could move his fingers, I told the therapist, listen, he's not gonna respond to the eye gaze anymore. You better change this around so that he could touch it. She fought me for a little while, and he made a big sting because he has stronger now in his vocal cords. So he was making, and I told the doctor, please ask her to change the computer around, and they finally did, and he stopped complaining, and then now he goes. I tell my wife, you know, what do I have to do? She's like, just put in the code, and he knows how to go to YouTube and watch Lion King videos, which is what he loves. But anyway, so the reason why I wanted to share my son's experience with you is because we were told in September of 2012 that he only had 2 months to live. The doctor said, the geneticist, there's nothing to do, no medical treatment, no medication. Take him home, make him feel comfortable, and this is a very extraordinarily rare genetic muscular disorder. So I told the doctor, you know, thank you, doctor, for the diagnosis, because if it wasn't for you, we wouldn't know what was wrong with our son. But I could guarantee you that we're not taking our baby home to die. And I started calling everyone from Harvard to Stanford, all over the United States. And finally, the last team was at Columbia University Medical Center. And the doctor told me, yes, we're doing a clinical protocol about your son's disease. And I said, maybe it's a long name. Maybe you didn't understand what I said. He said, no, Mr. Estopinan, I understood you completely. You know, notice, I have never dealt with doctors before, except if I broke my arm, I would go, he would put it in a cast, and you go home and you're good. But this is a very rare thing, and I had no idea. So finally, you know, little by little, we have been able to keep our son stable, which is our goal, and getting him stronger. And it wouldn't be the case if it wasn't for his medical assistance for Medicaid. So I know that this is a big discussion with the Affordable Care Act, but I'm here today to appeal, and I will publicly speak and wherever I need to, and tell him how Medicaid has saved my son's life. And I know, and not only my son, but for many, many other children and elderly people and very sick people that need this care. So during this discussion, this is one of the highlights that it's very important to keep in mind, and we will be constantly vocalizing it and making sure that that our leaders in Congress and administration know of this importance. Thank you so much for your time today.